Mets fans, Mets faithful, Mets front office, and most importantly, Frankie Montas all get their wish as free agent Sean Manaea has re signed with the New York Mets for reportedly a 3-year contract. We're going to break down what the contract is looking like. There is some money deferred, which we will discuss, and what this means for their pitching staff going forward. David Stearns has done it again, ladies and gentlemen. What is going on? Welcome on in to this holiday edition of Mets Digest with your host, Michael DeAngelo. As you see on the screen, I know it's a bit of a scenery change as we see, but I'm staying at a family member's house for the holidays. But life goes on, Digest has to go on, and there is no breaks to be had, especially when Mets faithful gets their wish as our beloved left-handed starter Sean Manaea re-signs with the New York Mets. So before I get started, I gotta ask that you guys please subscribe. You guys have been killing it recently with the views. Me and Flobo Boys trying to be on top of everything as much as possible. I know with the holidays around, we're a little slow on things. I apologize, but look, I know we're all happy that Sean Manaea is back here, so I'm just here to break it down for you guys. And let's go. Let's get it started. So Jeff Passan, first one to report it last night. It had to be around maybe like 1 o'clock in the morning here Eastern time, 1:30, and that is that he has re-signed for a 3-year, $75 million contract. The 32-year-old is back. And that is one thing that concerns me the most with this signing. That was the one thing that I was talking about previously when it comes to going after top free agent starting pitchers. The age was always a big concern with me. He's going to be 30. He's 32 years old. He's going to be around 35, 36 when this contract ends. Can he keep up this level of play through the entirety of his contract? We really don't know. But hey, the man deserves it. This is the best ERA he's had in his entire career. It's about like the third least amount of hits he's ever given up in his entire career. He's tied the most amount of games he's ever started in his career. Career numbers from top to bottom. You see it right there. Those are some of his career best numbers. And everyone knows pitchers, big time hitters are all gonna ball out when their contract years come up. And Sean Manaea was one of those candidates. And now here we are. And we have re-signed him to 3 years. And now, what we know about this contract is that there is going to be money deferred into it. Now, how much you're asking? Well, this guy from The Athletic reported that the deferred amount is around $23.25 million. It's a 10-year deferral, so equal payments starting in 2035. So there is deferred money in this, and what we know is that this will obviously take money off of his current payroll, which can allow us to, have some relief on the cap space a little bit. Look, Pete Alonso is still a free agent, and it is, becoming increasingly known that he could be re-signing with us, with the Nationals now picking up a first baseman, DeAngelo, Paul Goldschmidt going to the Yankees, and Christian Walker now going to the Houston Astros. Those were 3 teams besides the Mets that were in need of a first baseman, and now all those 3 teams have now filled that spot with a substantial starting first baseman. So now pretty much the only team left that has been listed as a possible suitor for Pete Alonso is the New York Mets. Now we hear more rumblings now about Alex Bregman and that Steve Cohen is throwing offers left and right at him. Do we know if that's true? We have no idea. But back on topic, this is our first deferred payment type of contract that we've thrown at someone and that has been accepted. Remember, the Juan Soto contract, with how big it is, there is still no deferred money in that. We are paying Juan Soto up front year to year. But with this contract with Sean Manaea, he opted to have almost a quarter or a third of his, excuse me, my numbers are all messed up, a third of his contract to be deferred for the next 10 years, starting in 2035, going to 2044. If you want to crunch some numbers a little bit, if you take that deferral away from the current pay that we have to give him for these next 3 years, it equals to about 500 or oh my god, $51.75 million. And if you break that down year to year, that's $17.25 million a year. So getting Sean Manaea for $17.25 million a year is a bit of a bargain. We just saw Walker Buehler get $21 million from the Boston Red Sox. We saw Max Fried get around $27 million per year with the New York Yankees for 8 years. So considering that we only have to hold on to him for 3 more years, and then defer his payments to about $5 million each year for the next 10 years, starting in 2035, it's a pretty good investment. Especially when you're about to get the 3 prime years, those 3 prime years of Juan Soto as well, from ages 26 to 29, and Sean Manaea is going to be a part of that. Now, considering other pitchers, now if this is about what do you want to call it? Our 8th starter now signed to our rotation. This was David Stearns' strategy all along now. We've seen him do it time and time again, even when he was on the Brewers, and now he's doing it with the New York Mets, signing, misfit starting pitchers to these, short-term contracts with opt-outs and, the guys that, could use a little bit of good coaching to really unlock their true potential. We've seen Jeremy Hefner now work some miracles with some pitchers, including guys like Sean Manaea, Jose Quintana, Luis Severino, Drew Smith, David Peterson, guys that were coming off of pretty mediocre years, and Jeremy Hefner now establishing this system that he has been able to, produce some quality pitchers who have been looked down upon. But getting back to the rotation, it is now looking in the likes of Sean Manaea, Kodai Senga, David Peterson, Frankie Montas, Clay Holmes, Paul Blackburn, Griffin Canning, and Tylor Megill. So when you look at it, that is 8 starting pitchers that can all start on a major league roster. Now, Griffin Canning and, as you know, Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea were all the 3 recents, and Frankie Montas to be signed. Now, with spring training coming up, there's going to be cuts made to this team. There's going to be guys that we have seen, that we have covered in past videos, who have been signed to major and minor league contracts, who are going to be getting spring training invites. You're going to see them get a lot of playing time in spring training and are ultimately going to end up being cut. Now, there's going to be probably 2 or 3 of those on this list right now that are probably going to be cut after spring training or as soon as the season starts. If Griffin Canning, Paul Blackburn, and Tylor Megill don't perform up to maybe David Stearns' standards or Jeremy Hefner's standards, they will easily be cut. Paul Blackburn is under team control for just 1 more year. So you really right now, you're only paying him around $6 million, I think it is. And then Tylor Megill is another guy still under team control. And Griffin Canning was just signed to a 1-year, $4.25 million contract. So this is, considering the money that Steve Cohen has at his hands right now, throwing guys out like this is nothing to them. And as sad as that is to say, it's just the world we live in and the standards that we are running this team at now. So, it is going to be a big-time tryout for this Mets pitching staff. Okay, I'm sorry I have to keep cutting. My voice is giving out on me. This weather is getting to me. As you guys know, if you're on the East Coast right now, especially a local New Yorker, it is below freezing and it is not treating me well. But if you get back to this rotation now, with Sean Manaea added, pretty much all 5 spots are filled right now. So when I'm talking about a tryout, it's a tryout for possibly the 6th or 7th spot. Look, David Stearns knows guys are going to be injured all year long. We saw it last year with Kodai Senga, Sean Manaea, and, Jose Quintana. So he's taking on this strategy of having as much depth as possible. But if you were to really go with a traditional 5-man rotation, Manaea, Senga, Peterson, Montas, and Holmes, that's 5 guys right there that are probably not going to be cut considering the amount of money that you paid all of them. Frankie Montas was thrown $36 million this year or this offseason, and Clay Holmes was thrown $38 million. So the possibility of them getting one of those two guys being cut is pretty low. But Paul Blackburn, Griffin Canning, and Tyler McGill, those are guys that have a high chance of being cut. I would hope we would be able to find a trade suitor for a bullpen arm, and one of those guys could be shipped off with it. But look, I'm not the GM, so I don't really know. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys here. It is all about pitching right now. And now our heads will possibly turn to the possibility of getting Pete Alonso back on this team. And for the most coming now of these videos, it'll probably mostly be about Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso and what David Stearns is going to do with the rest of the infield. But that is all I have for you guys here today on Mets Digest. Make sure you guys subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Good night, everybody.